Curtin Radio.
Well, it has been suggested that navigating the world of online dating can be thrilling. I guess it can, because you've got all this attention and they're promising things that they can't deliver. But apparently it is extremely essential to safeguard yourself for the risks of romance scammers. And joining us right now is Karina Chapman, conscious connection expert. Good afternoon to you, Karina.
Good afternoon, Jenny.
They wouldn't want to mess with you, Karina.
That's right.
Do you know, it's been going on a long time now, hasn't it?
It really has, unfortunately.
I don't know whether people sort of hope that this particular time someone contacts me that they are going to be genuine or not, and they just that I'll just take that chance one more time. Do you reckon that's it? Because there's been a lot of warnings out there.
Absolutely. And I guess, as everything, we always think it's not going to happen to us.
You know, it's happening, like I was just saying earlier to somebody, you know, on Facebook these days. If you have photographs up of your friends having lunch somewhere, there'll be a scammer, leave a message, you don't know me, la 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 la. Is that a typical example of how they do try to get to you?
Usually what happens is that they start a conversation, everything seems on board and totally normal. And then they start saying, oh, I really like you, I've really got feelings for you, and they build this massive, big emotional connection before they start coming in with, oh, actually, I've, got a financial problem, I really don't want you to have to worry about it. And then, of course, sometimes even before they ask, you might offer.
Yeah,
and even if it's a small amount to start with, then next thing you know, it gets bigger and bigger.
That's when it's stepped down the track a little bit. But if we just step back a little bit, if somebody contacts you and says, I'd like you to be my friend, does that indicate it may end up being a romance scam?
Sometimes even on the social media platforms that is happening. So it's not even just the dating sites, for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I see it often. I mean, I had some photographs up on Facebook with my friends. We were all out having lunch, and this particular person, you don't know me, would you please let me be your friend? And that's their way of getting in, as well as doing it in other ways.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And then even they might start saying, oh, I've got a really great investment that I can help you with.
Yep. Yes, we've all seen that. Now, the number one thing I would imagine you're going to say that you don't do is respond at all to any of those invitations.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, then that means that those that are being genuine and think, oh, this looks like a really nice person, I would like to get in contact and grow a friendship, you're kind of cutting off all of those opportunities for connection as well.
Well, you've got a few tips, and let's hope, people listening at the moment, they haven't been victims, either in the past, constant, at the moment, because number one, when they do find out or someone says, hang on, it might be a scam, it's sort of, you're challenging them to have common sense, aren't you? And you make them feel pretty bad about it.
Exactly, and that's why so many are not reported these days. I believe it's 40.6 million that was reported last year in Australia alone that was scammed.
Gosh.
Which is a huge amount, yeah. And even with that, the ACCC believes that it's only 13% of romance scams that are getting reported because people are really embarrassed about it.
Yes, exactly. I remember hearing a situation once where the boss of this woman who was dealing with somebody, he found out that it was definitely that coming out of Nigeria, and she was absolutely mortified and heartbroken. So we just have to pick up the warning signs at the very, very start.
Exactly. And even the ACCC believes that it's mainly concerned friends and families that are reporting these scams rather than the actual person that's been scammed.
Yeah, we just have to take it on board that if you have made that bad mistake, I suppose, at the time it doesn't feel like it, but you just got to say, well, I've learned from this, and just move on. It's another horrible thing that can happen. But how do we research and verify?
Yep, so there are ways to conduct background searches. You can search photos online. Google's got a photo search option where you can see whether that particular photo has been used elsewhere online. So you can see whether that's actually matching up or not, or whether it's an original one that actually does belong to that person.
So how do they get to that, to research that?
Yeah, they just make a copy of the photo, go onto the Google search site, onto the camera sort of side, and then you can do a search on images. And then that'll come up with any images that are similar or the same. and then you can see where those images are actually sitting. Like it could be somebody else's Facebook profile or Instagram, perhaps, that someone's stolen it from.
Yeah.
And then that gives you an indication that that person's not above board.
Well, that is something I've never heard of before. So you copy the photograph and you save it. I don't know how they do that, but they do that. Then they go into Google search. What was else did you say?
Yeah, so you can go search image, and then Google will come up with a thing where you can search the image and upload that image into Google, and then it'll come up with your results on whether they've found similar or the same image. Yeah, that's really helpful.
That was really prevalent a long time ago, wasn't it? You'd sort of had an American pilot or something, his photograph, and, you know, even celebrities have been used this way. So, yeah, that's really good information, that one. Keeping your personal information private, I reckon that is probably one of the biggest.
Absolutely. You don't want to be handing over your address or more information than what you need to until you're really sure that this person is actually above board and also genuine in wanting to connect. Even if someone says, oh, let's meet up for a drink, you know, I'll come and pick you up. What's your address?
Yeah, good point.
I wouldn't advise that would happen. You know, you wouldn't be giving that out. You say, no, let's meet at this place together. And then go from there, because you really don't want to give your information out.
What would they do with your address? How could that come back at you? I mean, you wouldn't do it, but...
No, but so if they happen to know your first and last name, so maybe you've connected even on a dating site, they might look up social media, find what your last name is. Then if they've got your name and your full address, they could use it in lots of different ways to be able to contact banks or, you know, set something up in your name that's not you doing it. Yeah. So that's why it's better to be cautious.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely right. Actually, I saw a television program where they were looking at parents, the way they brought up their children, and a hidden camera showed a little girl on the internet. She was a young girl. And the way this person got her home address from her was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, they're really sneaky and they have lots of practice in doing it. So when they're not successful, they amend how they do it a little bit to make sure that they have better success next time in getting the information that they're looking for.
Scary stuff. Trust your instincts. Well, if you're caught up in a situation, if you're vulnerable and you're lonely, and someone's saying you're just gorgeous, you're just wonderful, la, 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 your instincts haven't clicked in.
That's right. You can really ignore the warning signs, especially if it's someone that is feeling lonely, they're more vulnerable, they really want to find love, and they don't really look at what the red flags are waving in their face. They just think, oh, you know, this person seems really nice, they're really attractive, wow, they're attracted to me. I don't want to do anything to upset them or to break this connection because it might go somewhere.
Now, the target, it's fairly obvious, I suppose. Older singles, number one, they are vulnerable if they're lonely or divorced, whatever, because they're divorced, whatever, or the husband's passed away. Or even let's look at it, you know, if a man is single, is he going to be a target as well? Do we have women trying to scam?
Absolutely, unfortunately. Yeah, it goes both ways for both sexes.
Gosh, that is interesting, isn't it? You're just assuming, you know, if they're retired, they may have superannuation, they may be better off financially than younger people going after them. Do you have younger people at all getting scammed like this?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, in fact, I know there's a documentary out called The Tinder Swindler that's on Netflix, and the girls were really mid to late 20s, very attractive, and they got swindled out of thousands and thousands of dollars by this guy that was very, very clever in what he was doing. So it is unfortunately for all ages, but I think the older singles are maybe a little bit less tech savvy.
Yeah, true. Okay, do they ever get caught? Do they, you know...
Sometimes they do, but not very often.
No, how do they start, and who does start to try and track them down? I mean, it's huge. They're all over the world.
Yeah, it really can, and it's a really difficult thing. And a lot of times the way that they do it is your information is used to purchase something, or you've sort of got this relationship with them and they oh, look, my Amex card's been blocked. You know, I hope you don't mind, you know, could I use yours for a moment? Of course, I'll give you the money straight back. Yeah. So then that's harder as well to legally prosecute them, because they just say, well, they gave me the information willingly.
But how do they even track them down? That's what I wonder.
With great difficulty. It takes a lot of manpower.
So who doesn't? Who's out there that is even trying to track them down?
Well, we would hope that the ACCC is doing something about that in Australia. However, it's a really difficult thing because so little are getting reported. So then how do they actually find who this person is? And if they're using aliases, if they're using somebody else's photos, of course they're not going to give out their addresses for us just to knock on the door and go, hey, we think you're a scammer.
Oh, no, that's the problem. That's what everyone's up against. Can I just ask you, what advice would you give to somebody that you know, they know about this? How do they report it, and what information can they and should they pass on?
Yeah, so firstly, if it's on a dating site, I would report it on the dating site and let them know exactly what's happened, and even if the person's tried to get you off of there, to communicate, say, through WhatsApp or something like that, because that's harder to trace and they can't look back on the conversation to see what's actually happened. So the first thing would definitely be to report it to the dating platform and block the user. If you've done that, then the next thing is to contact ACCC and give as much information as you possibly can about this person. And unfortunately, a lot of the information they give is false, so that makes it extra difficult to trace.
There's a lot of people making a lot of money out there, isn't there?
There really is. People don't need to rob the banks anymore in person, do they? They go into the hip pocket of people directly, unfortunately, that are more vulnerable.
The dark side of technology. There's always a good and a bad side of everything, isn't there? That's interesting.
There certainly is. But, you know, there are some genuine people on dating sites that really are looking for love.
Yeah,
and you just have to be smart in looking out for the red flags, watching for the signs that there might be something that's not all above board, and also, if you're choosing someone that's in your state that you actually can meet in person much faster rather than building up a relationship over months, then that gives you a little bit better chance of finding someone that's genuine.
Yeah, good point. Well, we hope it doesn't happen. Just give us those figures again in Australia, people that have been scammed.
Yeah, so it's 40.6 million that they know of.
46 million?
Yep.
46 million?
Yep.
That have lost a lot of money.
13%.
Their hearts are broken. They feel as though they've been silly and vulnerable and gullible, and it's very sad. Terrible situation.
Exactly. So, and if we think that that's only 13%, the true number might be closer to 1 billion, which is incredibly crazy. We can't believe that would be it.
So as we speak, right now, all around Australia, even all around the world, people are being scammed.
Unfortunately, that is the truth. Yes, you're right, Jenny.
Yeah, it makes you feel terrible about people's behaviour. But anyway, so in your role as a conscious connection expert, do you deal with people that have been scammed in this way, or do you cover other areas that they need a bit of guidance?
So what I help them to do is to figure out what type of person it is that they want to connect with, what the values are, what their interests are and where they want to connect, and then how to attract that person. And I also share a lot on red flags, how to recognise them, and also how to set your boundaries much higher so that you're not so susceptible to being scammed when you are looking for love.
Yeah, good point. Very true. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to speak to you. Thank you, Karina.